None of us really know. None of us really know.
I know.
No, I know. Perfect timing, Keith.
Keith, what's up?
Your favorite movie of all time. Step 9.
Oh, good.
How is there any other choice than Remember the Titans being number one?
I'm curious.
I'm spoiling mine, but
Well, let's see. Here we go. Yeah, that's a good, good
I'm
question,
not even
Brian.
done talking.
you shouldn't be talking at this point.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Apocaflix Now, the movie hangout show from Apocaflix Movies. My name is Gio. I'm once again hosting, and I have some of the crew here with me. Obviously, Jake is out there enjoying his 30th birthday. Happy birthday, Jake, from all of us. We hope you're having a fantastic evening. I am joined by Mr. Jacob Bartley. Jacob, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just, going through life, working, all that. Sending kids from my side of the campus to Brian's side of the campus to deliver messages to Brian. That was pretty fun earlier today. But yeah, it's all good. Finally, we made it to the movie theaters this past weekend, which was a lot of fun. Gio and I, we saw Uncharted, which we'll talk about later on in this episode.
All right. Yep. Yes, we will. That's a good tease. Brian Avlicino, what's up, man?
Oh, nothing. Just chilling, anticipating kickball in an hour. God help me.
Nice.
I'm so out of shape that I'm terrified that I'm not going to be able to make it from home plate all the way around. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, happy to be here.
And Keith Barnes should be joining us later on, and hopefully he's around for our Peacemaker discussion, which is coming up very soon. I'm doing okay. I went TV shopping. Initially, I went to Best Buy and bought a Samsung, and then I started reading reviews about how much Samsung has just declined in the past couple of years. So I went with a Sony, and I am having it delivered tomorrow, and Thursday, and I think it'll be a great 5 to 7 year investment. With TVs, they've just evolved so much since my days at Target working electronics back in 2011. Wow, I remembered. One of my Target shifts was I had to work midnight for the Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1 Blu-ray release at midnight.
Oh, wow.
That was an experience. And 10 years later, he's playing Batman. So how about that? By the way, next week we will not have a show because several of us are going to go see the Batman Fans First screening in Sacramento. So look out for an immediate reaction coming out of the theater. We agreed to do a YouTube short that will just give us some of our reactions coming out fresh. And so stay tuned for that on the channel. And Star Drew. It's one of the Sony models, a new one, has a good OS system. Expensive as God, so expensive, man. TVs, Jesus Christ. But like I said, great investments. And let's go ahead and go to our movie watching challenge real quick before Brian has to head out. Where's the stinger? There it is. Movie watching challenge. Jacob was challenged last week to watch Lincoln, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, directed by Steven Spielberg. We can't say too much because your video is already on the channel, Jacob, but you want to give a little tease so they can go and check it out?
Sure, yeah. So, yeah, there's a 10-minute review up on the YouTube channel. You can go watch that now. But all I'll say is all those people, all these years that I've been hearing say, Lincoln is so long and boring, I don't get what they were talking about because that movie is so brilliant and so entertaining all the way through, in my opinion.
What I think
Enjoyed
it's
it
long
very
and boring.
much. Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
unless you have an extreme interest in historical stuff, but yeah, it's a lot of talking. But
Okay, that's boring.
I was just enthralled with Daniel Day-Lewis. So yeah, go check out my review. It's up on the YouTube channel.
All right. Well, you guys know how this movie watching challenge goes. Jacob, who'd you challenge next, and what are they watching?
So I'm curious because the person I challenged is on this video right now. So I'm guessing neither of you know. And the person is Gio. But Gio, do you remember a statement you made in the last couple weeks about a movie that you haven't seen? Can you guess what it is?
You talking about Godfather Part 2?
Yes, I am challenging Gio to the Godfather Part 2. As soon as you said that, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I was like, that is the next movie I'm challenging Gio to. So I got the opportunity, so I'm doing it.
Man, I hear this one is just as good as the first movie, if not better. And I'm very curious. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes, when life you get busy and all the content that's coming out nowadays that we're being fed, movies get lost. And so one thing I do appreciate about this challenge is that now I have to watch it. No excuses, roll it up, push everything else aside. Okay, Snyder Cut. I'm sorry, I gotta wait for your rewatch. I'm gonna watch Godfather Part 2. There it is. I'll have my thoughts up on the channel next week, and looking forward to that, man. All right.
Yeah, I'm
this
excited.
This is a big one right here. Before we go to Peacemaker, because I want to start this right now. This is the Peacemaker's the elephant in the room. It's the one that's been talked about the most since the finale dropped last week, and we're gonna get all of our thoughts. Spoilers if you haven't seen Peacemaker yet, giving you a heads up. But first, we're gonna talk about this super chat from our brother Johnny Quest. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, Mr. Quest.
1999, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. All right. He says, you guys see the review embargo with the Batman, and does that make you nervous at all, especially with all the clips? Seems like they are trying to sell the movie. Doesn't seem great. A little scared. Thoughts? Who wants to go first?
Is the question that he's asking, do we know about when the review embargo lifts? Did they say that it lifts close to the film releasing or something?
Yeah, I
think
don't
it lifts
know
this
exactly
week.
When.
I think it's this week. At some point, it's this week.
When is the premiere? Do we know?
I believe it's this week.
So the review embargo lifts February 28th at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, so that's what?
So that's
Sunday?
not. Yeah, I mean the real release date for the movie is March 4th. So it's the week of. It's the Monday of that week, and we're gonna see it the next day. I don't think this is anything to be concerned about, to be honest. And I honestly can't believe we're seeing it that soon. But no, I don't think there's anything to be worried about. I honestly every movie theater is doing early fan screenings. The reason they're doing that, in my opinion, is because they think this movie is going to be awesome and they believe in it so much, and they want that word of mouth to spread like rapid fire, and they want the people that go see it on these early fan screenings to see it again. So no, I think Warner Brothers believes fully in this movie. I don't think there's anything to be worried about.
Brian?
I'm avoiding everything at all costs. I don't want to hear anything. No one talk to me about it. If you've seen it, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's only a week away. And frankly, I really don't care what people say, because on these types of movies, I want to form my own opinion.
Fair enough. To answer your question, no, I don't think it's concerning at all. I think they're trying to keep it close because, I mean, if you look at a movie like The Eternals, they had that, and somebody, one of the major trades spoiled something in their headlines, and Twitter, social media now, there's no such thing as let's wait a couple of days before we post spoilers in the form of character tweets or gifs or photos or whatnot. I mean, my God, like Peacemaker. We'll get to that, but the morning of when the episode dropped, I wake up, I go to Twitter, and it's kind of my own fault, but one of the first things I see is what's revealed at the end of the Peacemaker finale, and I'm just like, well, there it is right there. People have no chill. They will go out there and they will spoil and whatnot for the likes, for the engagement, for the reactions and whatnot. And I think Warner Brothers realizes that we're in that time now. We're in that time where, people come in. If you don't have a ticket, a screening of the Fans First premiere, mute your Twitter, mute the words Batman, Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves, everything, and just hang on, okay? Because I guarantee you, we'll be walking out the theater, and half the people in our auditorium are going to be tweeting, "Oh my God, I can't believe this and this happened," or "This person died," or "Batman did this," or "This person was teased," or whatnot. So I'm not concerned at all. I think the clips from what I've seen look great. They very much fall in line with what Matt Reeves has promised. I love the fact that it's almost a 3 hour movie. And no, I don't think the review embargo matters at all. I just did a quick Google search, and I think I see just some, clickbait and headlines and stuff like that blown out of proportion. Not worried at all. Not worried at all. But nevertheless, Johnny, thank you so much for that super chat, guys. Feel free to send in more. Okay,
Yeah,
you don't
for
mind.
sure.
I just
And I do
spent a
think
lot of
you're
room
right,
on
Gio. I think it's more about spoilers because didn't they do the same thing for Endgame? Like the embargo was like 2 or 3 days before the movie came out. It was one of the big MCU movies. I'm pretty sure it was Endgame, but it was because of spoilers. It wasn't because of they were worried about how the film would be perceived.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, especially with a movie like Endgame, there
Yeah.
was so much that
Could be spoiled.
could be spoiled. Although I did see a YouTube thumbnail of all the portals opening up, and I didn't know what I was looking at the
Wow.
time. But when I saw it
Yeah.
in theaters, I was just like, "Oh, okay,
Interesting. Yeah. for
wow,
sure.
somebody actually did that. Anything for the clicks."
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a nice segue from one DC project that's on the way to another DC project that just wrapped up. And we are talking spoilers for Peacemaker. So if you have not seen Peacemaker, you might want to leave, or maybe you're somebody who just isn't a fan of it, isn't willing to give it a shot. Maybe after you hear our thoughts, you're going to change your mind. But I mean, something pretty big happened on the Peacemaker finale. But before we do that, let's get some overall thoughts on Peacemaker, the first season. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Let's go with Brian. Yeah, because he has to leave.
So, it's funny because at first, like the first 2 episodes, I was like, okay, this is just going to be like overly dramatic, overly silly, like just like ridiculous. And then like it started to kind of like I almost felt like there wasn't a story happening in the beginning, and then it started to roll, and then it go, and then to the point where I was like, damn it, I have to wait another week to know the ending. So I went into it kind of just like meh, to now I'm like, okay, that was really good. And like, I really want to see more DC TV show stuff now. I think letting James Gunn probably do whatever he wanted pretty much made the show that good. That's the reason why it's probably so good. Because there are things that worked on this that will never, ever be able to happen on Disney Plus. And I think it's a unique thing that, and probably one of the major things that DC will always have over Marvel. is they can do things that Marvel and Disney will never be able to do, i.e., nudity, swearing, to
Violence.
full on swearing, like gruesome violence. That is kind of going to be DC's leverage over Marvel, because they'll never be able to do that. And I think that kind of made me enjoy this so much more than like your normal TV show, because it got to be dark and or silly, and yeah, I liked it a lot better than I thought going into it, and I'm excited to see more.
Season 2.
Yeah, we're getting to season 2.
Oh, by the way, James Gunn writing and directing all the episodes this time.
Mm-hmm.
Great news.
I'm interested why they specified that. Like because even the episodes that he didn't direct were great, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I'm down for all James Gunn directing. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Jacob?
This show is made for me, to be honest. I love this show very much, and I'm contemplating, like, we always talk about best comic book movies of all time, but I like the conversation of best comic book television seasons of all time. And I think, look, this just aired. It just finished last Thursday, right? I think you need it to give it time to resonate, but I think it's going to be up there, like, as of right now, for one of the best comic book television shows ever made. Because, and look, we should have saw this coming because it's James Gunn. Like, I think we were underestimating the show.
Yeah.
We should have known that it was at least going to be better. Because I remember the first trailer came out, and I was like, that's random. It was just them sitting in the coffee shop, right? And him getting in the booth and them cracking a couple jokes. I was like, is this all this is going to be? And we found out it's a lot more than that in the first episode. And I just think, look, the drama mixed in with the comedy, mixed in with the character study of multiple characters, but especially Chris Smith, the Peacemaker, I just thought it was all, like, it all worked together so well. And you could make a show like this and make it all silly, gore, sex, violence, cussing, and make it have no heart or no dramatic beats that work well combined with that. But this had everything for me, like everything, because they had the grand scale stakes, right? The butterflies coming, eventually gonna dictate where our planet Earth goes and all that stuff. But then you also had the small personal level storyline with his father and all that. And I just thought all of it worked so well. And I'm not the only person, but Vigilante, man,
He was the best part of the show.
I never gone from, like, not caring about a character at all to, like, oh my goodness, this is one of my favorite characters ever. So, and
Which, Jacob, I don't know if you know
moments
this.
with Vigilante.
Gio and I talked about this heavily at Jake's birthday party on Sunday. You know, he wasn't the original actor to play that character.
He wasn't.
No, so Gio, who was it again?
I don't know his name, but he was Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. The one who
really
died quickly. Yeah.
So
wow.
So it was supposed to be an older version, and it was that guy. And that guy,
that's a big age difference.
Yes, and that guy filmed 5 episodes and went, you know what? This show's not my style. It's not for me. And so they had to recast the guy that they got for Vigilante now.
Oh my goodness.
And just redo all of his stuff.
Look, I think it worked out for the best, because I love him in that role. Because if you just saw him walking down the street, you'd be like, who's this guy? Like, he just looks like a regular guy, but you wouldn't think that he's, look, I don't need everything explained to me, but I do want to know how he became such, like, a lethal killer. This random guy, because look, he does a bunch of stuff action wise that prove that, but when he gets shot in the end and then he, like, throws a blade behind him as he's falling down and it goes straight in the guy's face, I'm like, That is awesome. And because I remember my only exposure to Adrian Chase, right? Is that his name? Or is from Arrow. And it was a completely different character, like way different. And so this was great. And look, he definitely has Deadpool vibes, but he pulled it off for sure. And I didn't know this. I was telling Gio, the actor is not American.
He's British.
Yeah. And I'm like,
he was in Harry Potter.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah. He's pulling it off so well. And even him too, like he was a character that's like joking all the time, right? But even there's moments with him too that are serious, which I really appreciated. So yeah, man, I love this show so much.
Yeah, I will say this because this was my only main like big thought I wanted to put out there before I leave. If DC can do this with Peacemaker, there are so many characters that would be prime for a TV show, especially DC. I absolutely need Harley Quinn to have a show like this. I don't think she needs movies. I think she needs TV shows. And I think James Gunn would be perfect to do Harley Quinn.
That's a great idea.
Like, I could see can you imagine like what is it? Like a Gotham City Sirens type thing with
Don't remind me.
But I'm saying like a TV show instead of a movie.
Not Birds of Prey. Yeah. No, it could be great because there's so much you could do with her. And I do think it would work better as a series. I mean, we've seen it in animated, but the live action series would be way different. It would be more grounded. So yeah, that's a great point. And didn't James Gunn say he's doing another spinoff from Suicide Squad? We don't know what it is yet. Hypothetically, it could be Harley Quinn. I mean,
I don't know. I
think it's going to be like Ratcatcher or something, though, but still.
Probably. And this is something I said to Gio also. I think DC should do TV show, movie. TV show, movie. Like, build their world through their TV show and have their movies be events. Because they can do whatever the hell they want in the TV shows. There's no limits. We saw boobs. We saw violence. We saw words that when they said it, I went, holy crap. Like, they said that in the TV show. Like, that's not a word you hear very often. The gay slur was the one I was referring to.
Oh, yeah.
They can do that in TV show, especially on HBO Max. You can't. There's only a kind of like a limit that you can really get away with it in movies. So like build your ginormous awesomeness through TV show stuff and then do like a big movie that everyone wants to go see. I think it could be something cool that DC does, but they have a clear, good path after this show.
The Peacemaker finale was their HBO Max original. As far as HBO Max originals go, it was their highest like rated thing. It's the most watched since they launched HBO Max. So maybe they'll take a hint from that and do something. Gio, there's one major thing we haven't talked about in the finale, but I want to know your thoughts and what that major thing was.
Yeah, my thoughts echo a lot of what you guys said about Peacemaker. I mean, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I wasn't surprised that I would have enjoyed it because the Suicide Squad, for myself, it worked. I love what James Gunn did. His weirdness, his humor, his knack for visuals and action. I thought all of that was great, and he kind of took that to 200% with this Peacemaker series. You talked about the amount of character depth in here. That's something that these shows, properties can benefit from, with 6 to 8 episodes, basically one giant movie. And I thought, everyone here benefited from that, whether you're talking about Emilia Harcourt or what's his name? Economos, thank you.
I wanted him to
Vigilante, or Peacemaker, or Adebayo. Everybody at some point in this season, had their own arcs and stuff that they had to, get past and go through. This show, I mean, to further touch on what you guys were saying, it touches on a lot of stuff. Okay. You're talking about like racism, you're talking about like, parenting and how just like how, shitty childhoods can like really traumatize you and affect you as a grown up and all that stuff. And, you have characters like Harcourt, who is very by the book, somebody who just, wants to, do more than what she's given by Amanda Waller, who, by the way, makes several appearances in this series. I was not expecting that. That was a treat.
She was used perfectly.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, totally. It was
Especially
like
she wasn't overshadowing. She wasn't overused, but she was used when she needed to, and it was used well.
100% agree. And by the way, we'll talk about what's going to happen with her character and the whole, Task Force X project, because that's another big thing. But I know you're getting close on time, Brian. Let's just talk about the Justice League. They had a cameo. Who would have thought, man?
Still can't believe it.
What did you think about that?
I laughed because I at first went, "Oh, dang." And then it was like that faraway shot, and I was like, "Oh, okay." It's none of the actual real actors. And then when they actually did Aquaman and Flash, I went, "Oh, okay." I wasn't expecting that, but I was a little bummed that they didn't show Superman, because if they would have shown Henry Cavill, then I would have been like, "He's in." So obviously that stunk. Wonder Woman, I mean, she's, I'm sure, hard to get. I don't know, but I loved the fish effing line that they dropped. That was pretty good, because that's how Flash and Aquaman are. They're very bantery in comics and stuff like that. So why not? I think it was perfect.
That was a
perfect little little thing at the end. I didn't get it spoiled, shockingly, because I was fully on Twitter for the whole entire day and Instagram and everything. I don't know if it would have been something that I would have been upset if it was spoiled, because it wasn't like anything groundbreaking. It was just like a fun little thing at the end. But yeah, I thought it was good. It was used sparingly. I mean, I'm kind of surprised they didn't want to take Peacemaker in. But I mean, obviously that's storyline.
You mean make Peacemaker a part of the Justice League?
No, like
they mean arrest him.
Yeah. Because I mean, he was a criminal. So
or any of them. Vigilante is a criminal too. Remember, they were like, "Isn't this guy wanted for multiple counts of murder?" And they're like, "We got bigger fish to fry." That was like earlier on in the season. Yeah.
Like, I mean, he was literally in Belle Reve. So like, I was expecting him to like them to like be like, "We should take it," but that's like being over zealous. But yeah, no, I thought it was a good little cameo. I think that was two good people to use. Noticeably absent, not there, was Batman. Curious how that they didn't even give him a silhouette. But yeah, that's good.
Before you go, Brian, I want to get your take on this. I uploaded this because I used it on my channel, but here are the I guess
they had a Batman actor. I heard that.
Yeah, stand-ins, actors. I guess they actually put on the costumes. And you see, that's very much Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. I think that's her BVS costume.
Looks like it.
The Henry Cavill Superman costume right there. And that's confirmation that Henry Cavill Superman was the one who was shot by Bloodsport and put in the ICU. And then you got Batfleck. I believe that's the tactical suit right there.
Looks
and
like
you can't see it, but on his caption on the far left, he says him and Cyborg were cut from the cameo. Like all of us, he would like to know a reason why. why that was the case. I can go into that afterwards because that could take a while. But do you have any reactions or thoughts to this, Brian?
I think the one. I mean, I'm not surprised Warner Brothers did it. I mean, I'm not shocked. I mean, I said this to you. I think they're two safest people, even though I don't understand safe with Ezra Miller, is probably Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa.
Well, I think it would be Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we already know the hype coming with all the new Batman stuff. Cyborg, that's its own thing. Superman, that's his own thing. So, am I surprised WB didn't use those three? No. Gal Gadot, I feel like, is just like scheduling, probably. Like nothing.
Yeah, she was. I think she was pregnant during the time because one of the individuals in that social media post said this was from last May.
Yeah. So her doesn't surprise me. I understand, I should say. The other three doesn't surprise me that Warner Brothers didn't want them showing their face. So that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Well, they also have to pay them. So if you think about it, I think it was just a business move, to be honest, to have the silhouettes, at least Gal Gadot, because
yeah,
the other three characters bring controversy with it in one way or another. Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah.
Well,
regardless,
Brian,
I'm excited for season 2. I'm glad
you guys. I don't know if this is true. I'm pretty sure it's true. Do you guys know that they shot that on the set of Guardians 3? That they shot that scene on the set of Guardians 3.
Marvel did shoot this as a thank you because DC did something for them. I can't remember.
Yeah, they shot something on the set of something else.
Yeah.
So they did it as a thank you back.
And see,
which
is weird.
We can work together.
Yeah, all you people out there who try to start wars between these studios, they support each other. Stop that. Okay,
they don't care as long as it brings in this.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And yeah, so any last thoughts, Brian? I know you got to go. You got to dip. Anything else you want to say?
I'm glad there's a season 2 coming. I think it deserves it. There's more I would like to know about these stories. And I hope HBO looks at Peacemaker and goes, oh, we can make some good money off of this and start telling some stories. I wouldn't even be opposed to them keep doing some absolute random heroes. Like, I mean, or spin-off characters. Shazam's family, that could be a good family-ish version that they could spin off.
They got to do a Deathstroke show with Joe Manganiello.
Something.
I want that.
I really hope they look at this and go, okay, there's a good amount of money that we can make on this and make some good content and they need to stay out of directors' way. If they are going to do stuff like this, they need to trust the people that are doing it, like a James Gunn. The man has a track record. His track record's amazing. Get out of his way and let him do his stuff because clearly it works. So I'm hoping they take that as a clue because, like I said, HBO Max has that up on Disney Plus. They will never be able to show boobs and say swear words and do like obscene things on Disney Plus,
jokes,
like
fucking fish and all that.
Yeah,
shit.
like they do on HBO Max, and that's one of the only major pluses that DC has over Marvel or Warner Brothers over Disney. So we'll see. But I loved Peacemaker season 1, and I'm excited for another season.
There you go. You heard Brian's thoughts, you guys. Brian, where can they find you online?
Be of Alcino on Twitter, and you can also find me on Apocaflix movie. No shit. A certain point of view with Jake. If you're into this rundown.
All right, I think the new season's starting soon, so
yeah, this week
for that.
God help.
All right, Brian. Good luck at your kickball.
Don't have fun, man.
Ball and hit somebody in the face. Okay.
I'm just hoping I don't throw up from all the running. But,
I hope it's inside because it's cold.
It is not. It is in the middle of downtown.
Goodness.
So,
well, good luck.
See you guys.
Best of luck, buddy. Later. Whew, man, dude. So let's stay on the Justice League cameo for a little bit. This is a pretty big deal, if you ask me,
Yeah.
man, because for a while now, WB was saying Zack Snyder's Justice League is not canon. The Snyderverse is going. This isn't WB. This is a more of a belief that the Snyderverse will be erased. That's why we're getting Michael Keaton's Batman. That's why we're getting Supergirl instead of Henry Cavill's Superman. And essentially, it will serve as a reset with the Snyderverse erasing. But you have Henry Cavill's likeness,
Yeah.
Gal Gadot's likeness, Aquaman. Who did you recognize that suit?
No, I didn't.
That's the suit from his movie.
The new one?
Yes.
Well, that makes sense, right? Because that's the current suit that he has, like
Yeah.
uh
And one of the biggest tells for me was that joke between Barry Allen and Arthur Curry.
mhm.
They had that quite a bit in Snyder Cut. You think about when Barry Allen was like, which one looks more convincing? And he tries the different military berets on, and Aquaman's like, eh. And then when
Oh
Flash
yeah.
accidentally tackles Aquaman, and then like Aquaman points his finger and is like, I am so sorry. And you see more of that in here, man. I think this is a great thing for anybody who is worried about the future of DC and erasing the Snyderverse, which is stupid, first of all, to begin with, because as long as Gal Gadot is Wonder
Well,
Woman, Jason
yeah,
Momoa is Aquaman, that it'll live on forever.
they're not erasing the Snyderverse, whatever that is supposed to mean in the first place, because these are all the characters that he created, and casted, for his movies. And these are his iterations of the characters. And as long as they live on, his influence is gonna live on through this universe. That doesn't mean, okay, maybe at one point they had a big plan with Zack Snyder's vision for the DCEU. Maybe we're not gonna see that, but like I said, his influence, because he's the one who put his stamp on these characters, brought them into the world.
The
It's going to
foundation.
continue to live throughout the universe. And that's the thing for me that this said. And look, when she earlier in the episode, when she was talking to Waller on the phone, and that was hilarious, by the way, when Abadea was talking to Waller, and then she says, "You're in charge, and let's go do this." And then she has to hear Harcourt say, she's like, "Yes, mom." Like, that was hilarious.
Mom?
But they name drop the Justice League, right? And Abadea was like, "Can you get the Justice League here?" or something like that. And I was like, no way. They're not going to bring him in. And then they did. And to me, it's like, yeah, we're going to get stuff like the Batman, right? Which I don't think the Batman is going to connect to the DCEU at all. Only way possible is via multiverse, right? But no.
Sure.
So the thing is, this to me shows that they're still going all in on a shared universe, which some people speculated that they were going to, okay, let's make Aquaman movies, Wonder Woman movies, Flash movies, but like, let's just keep them all separate. A lot of people had speculated that that's what they were going to do. And I don't think so. I'm like, look, you have the universe. It's here. Benefit from it. And I just think this is an example of how they can intertwine the whole universe, because obviously the Suicide Squad is in the DCEU. So is Peacemaker. So are these characters. So that's promising for me, because look, I'm down for movies like the Batman or like Joker. I'm down for those, but I love, when it comes to Marvel and DC, I love the shared cinematic universe, and I want to see these characters interact, because we haven't had enough of it in DC yet, in my opinion. So
dude,
I love seeing them pop up.
So okay, so we got Snyder Cut last year, right? 2021.
Mm-hmm.
But that was footage that was shot back in 2016. So if you think about it, we haven't seen the Justice League technically in 5 years. Can you imagine if you got the MCU, the first Avengers movie, and then 5 years later would have been what 2012 Avengers came out, and so 2017 you had to wait that long just to see them again. That
Yeah.
is ridiculous. And yeah, James Gunn respects what was done before him, is trying to build off of that, and that just needs to be made crystal clear, despite whatever Warner Brothers is trying to do. Yeah, so okay, we got through the cameos. Since we're on the finale, let's talk about something that happened that's a pretty big deal. Adebayo, Amanda Waller's daughter, exposes her mother and
Hmm.
everything that she's doing with Task Force X. How she leverages these, even though they're bad people, they're still people. Their sentences to go out and do crazy, dangerous, risky missions, and the government can have zero liability over whatever happens. What does this mean for Task Force X going forward? In your opinion, does it change? Does it change Amanda Waller? Is she in a lot of trouble? Is she gonna play this to her benefit somehow? Like, I mean, what do you think?
That was huge to me because, again, you think this movie or this show would only affect the things within it, right? Like, look, they stopped the butterflies, okay, or they killed the cow, so they're gonna die out, right? So,
The cow.
okay, that's like big, large scale, but I don't think we would ever hear about it again in the DCEU really outside of Peacemaker. So, like, to have a universe shattering event happen like Adebayo calling out Amanda Waller and Task Force X is huge because now is there ever going to be another Suicide Squad? And I don't mean movie, I mean in the universe, is there ever going to be another Task Force X? So if there's not, then are we ever going to get another Suicide Squad movie? Maybe, maybe not. They could, doesn't matter. They could still have the characters involved and do something else with them. But I just thought that was interesting because if she outed her and for some reason, like, look, it's essentially a branch of the government, right?
Yeah,
When it comes down to it. So
it's Argus. Yeah.
she's telling the world about something bad that the government's doing. So what are going to be the repercussions for that? Like, that's interesting to me. But I think the major big thing is, like, as far as how it's going to affect our viewing experiences, it's like, okay, if they do make another Suicide Squad movie, they can't just say, "Oh, Amanda Waller, you send these guys out again and it's back to normal. We got the bombs in their heads." So they're going to have to, like, if they ever do another Suicide Squad movie or show, whatever, it's going to have to be something different, I think.
Yeah, I think James Gunn can do some pretty bold things with Task Force X and Amanda Waller, the character, going forward. Because just think about the realism for a second, right? I mean, like, if we heard about this in real life, there will undoubtedly be a divide. You'll have people who say, you shouldn't do this at all. These are human beings. Even though they did bad things, they're still human beings. But on the other side, you're going to have a group of people who say, no, this is actually pretty good. Why risk our soldiers and brave men and women on these dangerous, ridiculous missions and say it's for this reason that they're going over there for, when you can just send these super powered villains, super villains, on these missions, and whether they live or die, whatever, you're going to have arguments on both sides. And I think James Gunn can do something pretty interesting with that. Now, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, first off, she is amazing. She's great. One of the best comic book castings, period. But
Yeah.
is she scared of this? Probably not. Is she pissed off? Hell yeah. Especially that the fact that her own daughter
Yeah,
would do
that's
this.
interesting. Like, does she care more about her, whatever Amanda Waller cares about? I don't know what her motivations are, but does she care more about doing the job or does she care more about her daughter? That's that's going to be interesting to
Oh
me.
yeah, I mean, she said it in the first movie, the David Ayer 2016 movie that, because getting people to, like I forget what she said, something about, out of their own self-interest for the good of the United States of America is what I do,
Yeah. Yeah.
so she could easily turn this and, make it into something else, and I'm excited to see about that as well. As to whether or not we'll get another Suicide Squad movie, I've heard people say not a movie, but an HBO Max series where you could have a
Yeah.
lot
There
more
you go.
characters in there. I think that would be more fitting. Peacemaker, however you feel about Peacemaker, it showed that you can actually do some things on a character depth level, that you wouldn't be able to do in these movies. And I think about characters like Kite Man, who
Who
was,
was referenced.
yeah,
There are so many Easter
there
eggs
are
in this show
so many.
and
King
so many
Shark,
references. The Green
yeah.
Arrow reference was
Green Arrow, yeah.
hilarious. But the Kite Man one, what was it in a newspaper or something that
Yeah, it was
Peacemaker
on like a newspaper,
apprehends
yeah.
the Kite Man? It's like, look, I didn't even know a Kite Man existed until the Harley Quinn show. And now I'm like, I love the Kite Man on the Harley Quinn show. So
Right.
now I'm interested in seeing a live action Kite Man. Like, but his kite would have like blades on it and stuff. They'd make it cool if they did it.
Oh yeah, James Gunn. Do not expect comic book accuracy. I mean, James Gunn and what he did to Vigilante is proof alone.
But he
On that.
upgrades them,
Oh yeah,
like if he were to make a Kite Man, he would have like tactical stuff on his kite and all this stuff. It would be awesome.
yeah, man. That's just. I mean, it'd be wild to see. I'm so glad James Gunn's coming back and doing the whole thing again. It looked like he was in more of his element with these projects. And we'll see what happens next. What are some other big standouts for the Peacemaker season for you? I mean, let's talk about Economos real quick because he had I mean, if we're talking about one single character that benefited the most out of this finale, it's arguably his character.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, throughout the series, he's being made fun of, with his the horrible dye beard and just like how he's always like, what am I doing here in this situation? And he's never taken seriously. He's always picked on by Vigilante and Peacemaker. But you learn a lot about this character just in one moment, which in context, given the situation of where the character was and what he had to do, I thought that was a brilliant move from James Gunn to set that character up to spill all the beans in that situation where he's surrounded by the enemy and has to play it off. Like, what'd you think about all that? The character, the revelation?
No, that was great because like he was the character that I kind of cared least about up until that episode. It's like he was cool, he's funny. Obviously, every crew needs a tech guy, right? Yeah, I mean, and to me, I know that's a cliche, but like it makes sense. If you're doing computer hacking and all this stuff, you need a guy like that. So, his presence made sense to me, but he was like, if I was like, what's the character you care least about of the crew, it would have been him. But then in that moment, because look, they used it as like in two ways, right? They used it so he can get out of that situation, but it was also for him to tell us more about his character. And I love how they're cutting back to Peacemaker's face and he's like feels guilty for making fun of him all this time. And yeah, that was a great moment, honestly. It changed my whole perspective on his character. And especially when he puts the photo up at the end with him and Vigilante and Peacemaker. And now I'm excited for his character in season 2, which I wasn't before that scene.
And the fact that he goes back to Bel Rev prison.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for me, it says that Bel Rev will not all of a sudden die or shut down or anything. I think that still
we'll see.
Lives on, maybe it's they're watching over a little bit more, who knows. But yeah, I mean, just like for a while now I was wondering like, okay, when is this guy going to get his payoff? Because I know James Gunn has something up his sleeve with this character. I mean, he He had one of the most badass kick-ass moments with a chainsaw, and
Oh yeah, that's true.
he shows up and just
Hmm.
has his moment and their bond and um all that good stuff. Right next to Economos and the payoff, there's Harcourt. Emilia Harcourt, played by Jennifer Holland, James Gunn's fiance.
Yeah,
Congratulations, James Gunn.
guess who
Way
was waiting
to
for the for the premiere or for the finale?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot to celebrate,
Yeah.
and on top of that, now they're engaged, and that's great, great news for them. Harcourt, man, what a badass! I mean, a background character in the Suicide Squad comes to Peacemaker. We don't really know what to expect, but I think it was maybe the second episode where she's kicking the guy's ass at the bar and
Hmm.
like showing just how much of a badass she is and having to deal with like Christopher Smith and all these, different personalities. You have Adebayo who's like, I don't even belong here. What am I
Hmm.
doing here? And this and that while hiding a secret. You got Mern who, you know, has a
Mern.
yeah, has a secret. We'll get to Mern, has a secret of his
Yeah.
own and is kind of like pulling the group together while secretly running his own agenda and whatnot. And she's like miserable but trying to push through. And then like throughout the season, you see her embrace this and go with it, and all of a sudden she finds a place of belonging. And all of a sudden now she's feeling great. Now she's part of the crew. And I love that little bit in the finale where Christopher Peacemaker, he's by her side and whatnot, and she's just like, wow, nobody's really ever cared about me that way.
Yeah.
What did you think about Harcourt?
No, I enjoyed her character. She had a lot of depth and she was a badass. My favorite moment is because look, we've seen a million characters that are trained in the military and they know how to fight, right? But like the moment where I was like, oh, she's actually legit is when she fights Judo Master. Because
Judo
Judo
Master, yeah.
Master, what they've shown us, he's like, they say it in the first episode. They say he's very dangerous. And I don't know if he's super powered or what, he must be, but Judo Master is like an elite, like very dangerous fighter, right? So when she starts going toe to toe with him, she loses the fight, but she goes toe to toe with him for a while. And that when she did that, that was great. So yeah, she was a great inclusion to the show for sure.
And we have to move on pretty soon, but let's
Yeah.
touch on this real quick. The relationship between Peacemaker and his father, Augie Smith, played by
So
Robert
I was going to
Patrick.
tell you the thing that made this show great to me was his father and his brother,
Yeah,
all that stuff.
I knew the brother would get. Yeah. Talk about it. Go ahead.
Oh, well, like that storyline, those flashbacks. First of all, the way they set it up earlier in the series, he has flashbacks. You see his brother on the ground having a seizure or something, and you don't know what's happening, right? They're outside. The camera doesn't show the whole context, right? And we also get flashbacks of his dad making him kill somebody. Also, like this is later on, right? Or whatever. And then in the finale, is it the finale or the episode 7 where they show the full flashback of him and his brother fighting? And they're
it's 7.
Yeah, so episode 7, and he's like having them fight for his buddies so they can like have entertainment. And it's like that is so dark. And like that he kills his brother. It's like people don't think about that. Like you could punch somebody in the face hard enough that can just like trigger something and they could just die. Like obviously. And it's like that was honestly hard to watch. But all that stuff with his father made the show great to me. Like that was the difference maker.
Yeah, I'm with you. Robert Patrick brought it, and you don't know who Robert Patrick is. He is the T-1000 in Terminator 2
Yeah.
T2 Judgment Day. perfectly cast. He from the moment you see him, you're just I already don't like this guy. And
Mhm.
as episodes go on, you're just like, this guy is just a total douche. I mean, he's just the worst.
Mhm.
They gave him the white dragon outfit, which
Yep.
I had to do some research, and I'm like, wow, that looked amazingly like accurate, like strikingly similar. Wow. And for me, I was more invested into that, than that, conflict than I was about the overall villain with the
Oh, me too. Yeah.
butterflies. I think that was the emotion of the series right there. And yeah, yeah, like I said, Robert Patrick brought it. The emotion hit so hard. I saw John Cena give a performance that I didn't think he was capable of, honestly. I mean, the moments where he breaks down and he's fighting his inner demons and just, I mean, even outside of that, his whole thing, he struggles with the idea of killing for a while,
Mhm.
just like he's like, I don't want to be that guy anymore.
Well, and they keep flashing back to when he kills um
Rick Flag.
Rick Flag, which I love Rick Flag. I love Joel Kinnaman. And look, I'm okay with characters that I love dying because like it adds stakes to the universe and the world. But I was still upset when Rick Flag died. So the fact that they made it a storyline for Peacemaker in this show, how many times did they cut back to that? Like 4 or 5 times they cut back to that, and it's like Peacemaker, what a joke.
Oh yeah.
And I loved that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, guys, we love to go on more, but that's gonna do it for our Peacemaker spoiler thoughts.
Hmm.
Let us know what you think about Peacemaker. Some of you in the chat, I could see you're fans of the show, and it's only even more sweeter news to know that season 2 is coming, and we'll see what that brings. Right now, James Gunn's wrapping up. Well, he's not wrapping up. He's in the middle of filming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Busy man, busy man. I mean, going from the Suicide Squad to Peacemaker, Guardians 3, and now he's going to go back to DC. Um, very happy about that. And yeah, so let's move on to a couple other things. Let's talk about Ryan Reynolds and his upcoming Netflix movie, The Adam Project,
Yeah.
directed by Sean Levy from Free Guy and Real Steel. I think he also did the Night at the Museum movies as well, and starring Ryan Gosling. I didn't see him in the trailer. Did you?
No, I don't. I think it's Ryan Reynolds and it's Mark Ruffalo.
Oh,
Uh,
man, whoever wrote these notes are drunk. Okay, so Ryan Reynolds, Mark Ruffalo, Zoe Saldana, and Jennifer Gardner. Basically, if you haven't seen the trailer, check it out. Ryan Reynolds travels back in time and runs into his younger self, and teams up with his younger self to save the future, and along the way reconnects with his father, played by Mark Ruffalo, who died when Ryan Reynolds' character was a kid. Jacob, thoughts on this trailer?
yeah, it looks really good. I'm why isn't this going to theaters? Like it's a Netflix movie, I know, but like this looks like a theatrical film to me. Like I know it's personal, like it's like a personal story and there's going to be like maybe there's not going to be as much action and sci-fi as I'm anticipating, but like when he's taking the ship and going into that portal and it's like this looks very cinematic to me. And look, it's cool. I'll still enjoy it at home, but yeah, I mean, especially coming off of Free Guy, which was awesome, a great theater experience for me, and same actor, same director. So yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. It's funny. Do you remember Jennifer Gardner and Mark Ruffalo in what was the movie?
13 going
Oh,
on 30.
13 going on 30, and it's
Yeah.
like they look almost exactly the same. Like it's crazy to see them again as a couple. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm curious to see like what, because they don't really tell you what the plot is really. Like, what is the point of him going back in time and
Yeah, as far as like
visiting his younger self?
the mission.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that. But hey, it looks cool to me. I'm all down for like new versions of whatever that kind of weapon he has, like a sword, like lightsaber staff thing. I don't know what it is, but I'm all down for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I thought this trailer had a strong sense of like awe and wonder. Just and you pretty much see this all happening through the kid's eyes, so that adventure right there. And I, I, I don't know. I mean, there were moments where Ryan Reynolds, like, he meant to deliver an emotional line or like a dramatic line, but he didn't, and it was just more of Ryan Reynolds. I was just like, ugh. But I was surprised by the sci-fi elements in here, like you said. The the what do you call it? The fighter jets, the starfighters, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
These bad guys who you shoot these laser guns or something, and it's like a futuristic thing, but with a story about a boy and his father in the right in the middle of all that. Um, we'll see. I'm the last time I saw a Ryan Reynolds Netflix movie, I turned it off. It was
Red Notice.
No, it was Six Under. I haven't seen Red Notice yet. I need to watch Red Notice. But it looks promising. I love the cast. It looks like it could be a very heartfelt story. Again, guys, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's the Adam Project trailer on YouTube, social media. Check it out and let us know your thoughts. Let's get to a video game that you and I haven't played, but there was a movie that came out and starring Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, Uncharted. The first movie in PlayStation's film studio. We're gonna talk spoilers for Uncharted. So if you haven't seen the movie or haven't played the video games or any of that kind of stuff, just a fair warning. But you might be inclined to watch it after you hear our thoughts, because I'll start off. I enjoyed this movie. I thought Uncharted was a fun time in theaters. Mark Wahlberg, Tom Holland, I love their chemistry on screen. They're so fun to watch together. It was very much in the vein of like Indiana Jones with a little bit of James Bond in there. And just, again, I'm somebody who didn't play the Uncharted video games, but it didn't affect my enjoyment of watching this movie. It's a fun time. I enjoy the like I said, the camaraderie between Mark Wahlberg's Sully character and Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. And man, he brought it in this movie. There were a couple of moments where he turned his acting up to like 150, 200%. But what did you think of Uncharted?
Man, I'm torn on Uncharted, to be honest.
Yeah, there you go, Rachel.
I don't know. I wouldn't call it a good movie, honestly. I wouldn't. But there are some enjoyable things in it. And look, I have I don't have any expectations with the character of Nathan Drake. Never played the game. Only seen stuff from what people have told me. My brothers used to play it when we all lived together, but I never played it. So like I don't have any connection to it at all. But I know a lot of people complain that they're way too young to even play like versions of these characters. I had no problem with Tom Holland in the role. Just took me a couple seconds to like switch my brain off that it's not Spider-Man, that it's not Peter Parker, it's a new character. And I thought he played it well because Tom Holland, when he's playing a 16-year-old kid, he does that well. Do I believe that he's a 25-year-old man in this movie? Yeah, I do. And that he was good. He's not my problem whatsoever. My problem is the dialogue and the villains. And you even said it to me, Gio, the antagonists. You said this walking out of the theater. The antagonists were terrible.
Yeah.
And look, if you haven't seen the movie, we warned you guys it's spoilers, but what the hell was going on when they killed Antonio Banderas? Like, I was
Oh my god. It's
so
like go ahead.
Antonio Banderas is the big bad, but then like one of the henchmen women just slits his throat out of nowhere. And I'm like, what?
And it's a moment that was supposed to make her a badass, and it was totally unearned. It was cheap. It's like you just got owned by Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland, and it's like, what are you doing? You know, and Antonio Banderas, yeah, he's in this movie. He's Antonio Banderas. He did it for the paycheck.
Yeah.
Put on a couple of suits, walk on set, say some lines of dialogue, and that's it. It was the most uninspiring performance from Antonio Banderas.
But I don't think he was asked to do much more than that. But RD Film says there's legit like 2 levels in the games when he's a young adult teen. Okay, so there is some type of something they can draw from as far as a younger Nathan Drake. But yeah, it's like Antonio Banderas is good casting for a villain for this movie. He was one of the things I was looking forward to the most. And it's like, what is going on here? And the dialogue that the villains were saying, specifically, who is this character? Let me go pull her up. So Braddock, played by Tati Gabrielle, which she was fine. It wasn't her fault. She's reading the lines that she was given. Whatever. But it's like she says the most cliche villain things in this movie. Like every time she talks, like it's just the same cliche lines we hear in every action movie. And there were 2 of them specifically. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but it was just it's that it made me roll my eyes. And look, the adventure aspect of it was fun. I
like that.
I loved the searching for the treasure and all that, and the getting to the ships and finding the ships and the ships floating up, like being pulled up by the helicopters.
By a helicopter.
That was great action scenes, and great prop use and great stunts. But overall, I just think like the skeleton of this movie, I thought was good. Like, okay, you got Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. Mark Wahlberg was fine as Sully. Like, I don't have any strong opinions either way. He was fine. You have the good action scenes. You have the basic storyline. But everything in the middle, like inside that supposed to make up the movie and make it compelling, just didn't work for me. Like, it felt like a shell of a movie to me. But I think, look, Gio, you and I always talk about brother stuff. We both have brothers. Brother stuff in movies and shows gets us more than most.
That pulls your heartstrings, buddy.
And look, the stuff with him and his brother when they're little, and his brother said he's always going to come back for him, and the tease at the end, that stuff was cool. So ironically, I'm down to see the story continue. But look, it's directed by Ruben Fletcher, and Ruben Fletcher directed Zombieland, which Zombieland 1 is amazing.
Yes.
But Ruben Fletcher has directed Venom, Zombieland Double Tap, which I didn't love Zombieland Double Tap, to be honest. It was cool. It wasn't terrible. He directed Gangster Squad. So that's like a lot of disappointing films. And I think he's living off of that, the Zombieland hype. Look, he directed 30 Minutes or Less, which I don't really remember that movie. But he's worked with Jesse Eisenberg a lot. But yeah, I just don't know. I wasn't a big fan of it. And I'm curious what, because I haven't watched any videos or anything. I'm curious what a diehard Uncharted fan thinks of this, honestly.
They probably feel the same way that a Trekkie feels about the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies.
I see.
If I had to maybe compare. And I haven't listened to a lot of them. But Rachel, yeah, that's interesting, because there's a moment where Nathan Drake gets his gun and holster, and I recognize the look from the video games, and I was like, oh, okay. It's like when Tomb Raider gets her guns, and it's just like, okay, that triggered something, and that was pretty cool. Even though I never
Yeah.
played the video games, just having
I could imagine
seen,
that being a cool moment for fans,
sure,
Yeah.
yeah, but in a lot of ways, this felt like a movie that came out in like the mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s. Like
It did. It does, yeah.
the the mannerisms, the tropes, the disrespect of female characters in this movie. Oh my god! I mean,
Yeah. Honestly,
so
yeah.
there's a female character, and I don't remember her name, but she sort of
Chloe.
teams up with Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland, and she tries to pull a fast one, only they get the upper hand, and then she's left literally driving a boat to like the middle of nowhere, and that's the last you see of her for like 30 minutes.
It's so dumb, and they just
And
show
then
her driving by, yeah.
yeah, and then they show her at the end and like, oh, you got me, and it's just like. And
Yeah.
then we talked about the female antagonist and how like, she was just not a very good written character. And it's just like I thought we were past all of this. Come on now. The bar for female characters has risen so much since the mid 2000s. I mean, going back even before that, and it's just like, oh god, cringe. But I don't know. Maybe the fact that I took a full shot of Jameson on an empty stomach, grabbed some popcorn with extra butter, and just went in there and just, like turned my brain off. Mark Wahlberg, Tom Holland, let's go, adventure. I thought it was pretty
Yeah.
fun. I'm not pissed off that I watched it in theaters.
No, not at all.
Sure. I
Like,
thought it was a fun time.
I'm glad we went, Like, it
There were
was
you talk about dialogue, man. There was a couple of times where, like RD said, the Scottish person, and the way the lines were delivered and written,
Yeah.
I was laughing. It was just
Yeah, and the way Tom Holland was like, "What? What'd you say?" Like, acting
there's
like
a
he didn't
certain
understand
level of
him, yeah.
comedy you just on the cringe moments, and
Yeah.
look, sometimes it's okay for movies to be like that. We obviously want better. We don't want the bar to be set low for these movies and to be like it's okay. But I'd be lying if I said there was not a level of entertainment to be had from all this.
Yeah.
Um,
Real quick,
let's bring.
Rachel said
Oh, go ahead.
this, which I agree with. Bartending fighting is a pretty cool fighting style. That's my main takeaway from this movie. I did like when Tom Holland, because he's a bartender, right?
Yeah.
How he was using the bottles to fight the henchmen. I thought that
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
He jumps in the back because they end up going to a bar, and he's like, "Oh, I got this," and starts serving drinks and like fighting at the same time. That was pretty cool. Let's bring in Mr. Keith Barnes. He has arrived. What's up, man?
Hey,
How you doing, man?
How are you?
No, it's delayed.
We're having a
okay.
spoiler discussion for a movie you haven't seen.
Uncharted.
Listen, Rachel, good evening. Got Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3.
Oh, you played it.
Yeah, Keith's
Uncharted Lost
guy.
Legacy.
Wow.
My PS4 is literally, I bought the Uncharted edition, Uncharted 4. I literally bought this just to get Uncharted 4, specifically for Uncharted 4 a few years back when it came out.
Damn.
So I'm a big Uncharted guy. Massive Uncharted
Have you
guy.
seen
And
it yet
RD
or
Films,
no?
What's up? No, I haven't seen it.
Are you interested in watching it? Has the marketing gotten you excited or scared?
No, not at all. But I will. Well, I'm interested in seeing it. I don't know if it's going to be a theater viewing for me. Maybe. I'm intrigued from what I've heard. Apparently, it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be. Because the marketing for me was just like, they lost me big time with the Mark Wahlberg casting. I'm like, what? Mark Wahlberg? That doesn't seem to fit right for me. But based on what you're talking to you the other day, Gio, and hearing you guys just now and other reviews I've heard, apparently it's not great, but it's not. It's just kind of just, it's okay. So I'm curious to see it, but I'm not in a rush to see it, but I don't know.
So for those who haven't played the video game, but thought Mark Wahlberg wasn't bad in the movie, and he was essentially Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's exactly what I heard.
What is the Sully character supposed to be like?
I think, well, I know when a lot of people would have in mind, if you can imagine, I don't know how to. Obviously, I think the biggest one I would always hear is J.K. Simmons. If you can imagine J.K. Simmons in that role, as with the mustache and everything, he would look kind of like J. Jonah Jameson, right? He wouldn't act like that at all. If you can imagine that look, first of all, and his demeanor is kind of like there are a lot of these games, and I think they do it from what I heard, because I listened to a spoiler review about it, and I don't mind spoilers, so it's okay. Where he's a type of character where he did kind of he took Drake in at a young age. They touch on it a little bit in Uncharted 3. He took him in, kind of brought him into his world of Gordon Post. Sorry.
Yeah.
Stephen Lang. There you go.
Stephen Lang did I was gonna say they had a Nathan Fillion, Stephen Lang fan film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Okay. If you watch that what Stephen Lang did was absolutely perfect. God, why would they anyway, okay. Why would they not like he was perfect?
It's so odd to me because Mark Wahlberg just looks like an older version of Tom Holland in the movie. It's when they're standing next to each other, it looks so weird.
Wahlberg, I could see casting him as Nathan Drake. Like,
no, I know that's what I
remember.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
So I just found it odd, and Tom Holland was good. I know when they first announced it, we all expected it to be the young Nathan Drake story, which they touch on in 3 and 4 with him and his brother when they were school age, as early teens, mid to early teens, and a little bit maybe slightly older. But that's one of the things that kind of turned me off a little in the marketing and just in seeing what this movie seemed to be about is that they're covering, it looks like things from all four of these games, 5, well, really, but all 4 of the games into this one movie. Because I will ask you guys, because I don't really know, but I think, does this movie start with the train crash on the side of the mountain? Is that what I think I heard?
No.
Okay. All right. Never mind.
Of that,
okay, I thought somebody told me that. Okay. Well, then never mind. Because that's in Uncharted 2. That's the opening of Uncharted 2 where it's like.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here, Keith, because I want to ask you, is in the games, are Sully and or Nathan, are they trained fighters?
Great question. Yes and no. Like, they're not trained. They're not like mercenaries at one point in time and they're learned how to. No, but it's just they have experience fighting because they're always getting in. They're always being attacked or chased by henchmen or fights like you saw, which is in the game or stuff like that. So, they've learned how to fight through kind of street smarts and experience.
Yeah. So, Gio, I was going to tell you, one of the main things that bothered me is like throughout this whole entire movie, they're fighting henchmen. So, look, in my mind, like a rich billionaire hires henchmen. All these guys have military backgrounds. They're all trained fighters, right? That's how I look at it in my mind. Like in any movie, if a billionaire is hiring henchmen, they should be trained fighters, right? And then Nathan Drake and Sully, they're like going around beating up all these guys. And I'm like, when they never once established at all that they are capable of fighting. Like they're capable of thieving and like they're very good at treasure hunting and stealing stuff. But
it's like how Indiana Jones. It's exactly
automatically good fighters. Like what?
It's like Indiana Jones. Like Indiana Jones, just he knows how to fight because he's always getting in fights all the time.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that. I'm actually not 100% sure about Sully. I don't know. I actually never, as much as I am a fan of Uncharted, I never played Uncharted 1, so I don't know if they go into Sully's background at all. But from the games I've played, I don't really recall anything like that.
Yeah, but to me, it's just like if one of us were just swept up into an adventure and we had to fight henchmen, it's like we'd probably get our ass beat. You know what I mean? Like,
sure. Well, he does. He often does. Certainly
true.
In the games he definitely does. But
that's a good point. Yeah,
I'm looking at some of the behind the scenes, and it looks like one of the first photos features Mark Wahlberg in a mustache with a mustache.
Okay, so that's
heard
the
about that.
post-credit scene we missed.
Yeah,
So Gio and I,
that's
there's kind of
what I heard.
two post-credit scenes. There's like an immediate one that shows his brother, and then Gio and I were like, "Let's get out of here." We both
Sure.
were like, I
Yeah.
could feel it. We both were like antsy to get out of there. I
Not
guess there
worse.
was another one, but I didn't really care. I wasn't gonna look it up
Sure.
and wait. And I guess it was the scene from the trailer where he walks in and he's like, "What's up with the mustache?" And he's like, "Puberty's right around the corner, kid," or whatever. Like,
Yes.
I guess that's from the post-credit scene, and it's hinting at the sequel for At Thieves' End. I had a friend who plays Uncharted tell me that.
Okay. At Thieves' End. Is that what they're gonna do the next one? Okay.
That's what my buddy said that it hints towards. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I did have a feeling, and I heard about that. He gets the mustache at the end, which is funny, but it's like on the TV show Gotham, right? How Commissioner Gordon, he never had the mustache until the end, right? Is that what? I think that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I didn't see that. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, and I think one of them was, does he get his guns or whatever? Nathan Drake gets guns, because I heard he doesn't shoot anyone at all in this movie. Because one of the signatures of Nathan Drake is that he is. I'm telling you, his body count is in the thousands.
So you don't care about spoilers?
No.
Okay,
it's
so
okay.
Gio was talking about it. There's, in the end action battle scene, he like takes somebody's like, what's that thing you put on like that
The
holds
shoulder,
the guns?
yeah,
like because that's like what he
holster.
wears, right? So he never uses a gun in the whole movie, and then at the end he takes somebody else's one of those and it has guns on it,
Gotcha.
and he starts using them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know if he even actually shot somebody. Like, I can't remember. I think he was
It's
just,
like a Tomb
trying.
Raider. Remember Tomb Raider?
I think he was like trying to shoot somebody.
Right. Okay.
I just tried finding the post credit and I couldn't find it anywhere online. Like, come on, somebody post it so I can watch it.
So
it's the
they do,
second Curtis asked. It's the second post credit scene.
First
The
one.
first one shows his brother in
after credit scene in the
like,
trailer.
locked away. Yeah, that's what was so weird to me. I was like, "Where's that scene?" It was like the main scene, the main comedy bit of the trailers.
Yeah, right. That's funny. That's what, remember, like they did that in Tomb Raider, right? Where at the end of Tomb Raider, the new one where she bought the two guns.
Oh,
from
that's
the pawn
true.
shop.
Yeah.
Because that's her
But,
signature,
like,
is the two guns.
That was like the end shot of the movie, though, for Tomb Raider.
Right.
This happened like in the middle of the action.
Got you.
While they're doing, which I will say, we talked about that pirate ship scene with when the helicopters lift the pirate ships up. That scene was cool. That sequence was
It actually
awesome.
looked cool from what I saw.
And like Rachel said, it's worth seeing in theaters for that. Honestly, like the action pieces.
Right. So, is there any like puzzle solving or like problem? Like, there's always some kind of. Did you guys talk about it
A
already?
little bit. No, not
I
really.
heard vaguely about it, but I didn't really know.
Yeah. I mean, there's clues that the brother leaves behind that he has to try and solve. And there's like stuff with some keys that he has to like figure out, what they mean and like where they lead to and stuff like that. Yeah, so there is some mystery solving throughout this movie.
Because outside of the action, that's a big part of the Uncharted games. There's always some kind of, you got to go into a room and you got to flip a mirror around and aim the sunlight at the mirror, and it's got to illuminate some jewel that's hidden in a.
There wasn't enough of that for me. Like,
oh, really?
I felt like that should have been like the main focus of the movie, like those type of things.
Right. Okay.
And it's like there's a few of them. Like his brother leaves him postcards, which ultimately meant something. Like if you put them all together.
Sure.
And then there was like a little thing with these keys that pointed to a spot on the map, but I feel like there should have been more of that.
Okay.
Right.
And Gordon,
it's
Gordon
almost like
Post,
they. What's up?
Oh no, Rick, I was just gonna say Gordon Post just asked a question. I don't know if you guys want to highlight it. My computer
is it this one
about Elena?
Oh, Elena.
Elena better be in the sequel.
Elena better be in the sequel.
So that character's
Who
not
is
in this
Elena?
movie. That's great. I was just going to ask you guys if there's a character named Elena in the movie. So Elena is
No.
he meets her, I think, in the first game. She's a photographer. They kind of cross paths. I don't, it's been so long since I played Uncharted 2, I don't fully remember. But they eventually get married. I think by the time you get to Uncharted 3, I think they just got married. And then when Uncharted 4 starts, Drake is retired, and he's just actually just living at home. Him and Elena are at home, and she's kind of getting back to her photography and stuff. And he's just kind of staying at home bored, and his brother kind of drags him back into it.
There's a character named Chloe. Is that anybody?
Chloe, that's so in the spin-off game Uncharted Legacy, that's her right here, Chloe Fraser.
Oh, really?
Yes. And she's
wow,
she's
that's cool.
Cool character. Yeah, fan favorite character. She's
Well, then you're gonna be upset by what happens.
Let me ask: is Braddock?
What? Wow. Okay.
Well, no, Chloe. Okay. Gio's just referencing they kind of mistreat the character in a way.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, really? She's not portrayed very well. Like the actress does a good job, I think.
Right.
But the way they write the character is not great. But I'm curious: is the main antagonist the girl Braddock or whatever? Braddock? I don't know how to pronounce her name. But is she a character?
There is a character I think named Braddock from Uncharted 2. But I believe it's a.
Maybe they did maybe it was a male character that they.
Yeah, I think it's a male character.
Just made a woman character. She's like the
name sounds
the
familiar.
big badass villain in the movie.
Okay,
if you want to call her badass.
She's like a mercenary working with Moncada.
Okay, so got you. So there's this other character that is also in the spin-off game, Nadine, the other one, not Chloe, but the other one on the cover here with the gun. That's what it sounds like. Her name's Nadine something. She's Nadine Ross is her name. She's also it sounds like her. She's a mercenary who's trying to help this a rival of Drake steal the same thing, and they kind of She's pretty. So
is Chloe like an ally in the games, or do they ever cross each other though?
She's if you can imagine, she's kind of like how she's not a villain, but she's like their relationship is kind of like Bruce Wayne or like Batman and Catwoman. I
kind of got that vibe from this.
They definitely
that was kind of like that.
Yeah,
in the movie, yeah.
And she's often worked something else, but she'll kind of go in her own direction, and she'll wind up helping Drake at the end because she cares about him. And then
that's kind of exactly what happens in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Well, there you go. So I want to ask about the brother. I know we got to wrap it up because I got up so late. But so the brother is in a post-credit scene. Apparently, he's kind of hinted at through the movie, or he left secrets of something of some kind, or Sam Drake, is that his name?
Do you want to know?
Sure, I don't mind.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
he's in the movie for a little bit in the beginning, and then it's kind of following his breadcrumbs and clues and stuff like that, and then a surprise, he's alive. But it's kind of explained in a way that he died, but didn't really.
Yep, got it. Okay,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot of okay. So a lot of I think Uncharted 4 is that, and his brother shows up with a new mission. Like, hey, I need you to help me. He was locked in a prison or whatever, and
goes
from there. So
So in the first 3 games, is his brother not around?
No, they don't. No, not at all. They introduce him in flashback in Uncharted 3 when they were teenagers at the orphanage.
Yeah, and then you find out in Uncharted 4 that he's still alive.
Yes. Yeah, he shows up. I think maybe I can't remember how long it had been since they'd seen each other.
Wow.
But yeah, I think it was one of those storylines where one of them kind of maybe left the other behind on something or something like that happened. I don't know. It's one of those stories where you left me behind, and I can't remember what it was fully, but
wow. So they actually it's really they actually used a lot of influence from the games. I feel like and like took
Okay.
bits and pieces from each game. From what you're telling me, it sounds like they took
Right.
bits and pieces from each game and like made a movie, but are going to tell all of it, plan to tell all of it if they make more.
If they make another one. It sounds like they're set up, obviously, a sequel, right? Like, do you think they're gonna? What do you guys think? Do you think
Depends on box office, to be honest.
Yeah,
like that's unfortunately, but honestly, I think it will. Because it's
Okay.
doing okay. It's doing
that's what. Yeah,
all
that's what I
right.
read. Yeah.
I think it got like over $100 million in the 3-day
Okay.
opening weekend. So yeah, that's good.
How is the airplane stunt scene? How'd that go? How'd that look to you guys?
Oh, you're talking about the one with where the cargo goes out the back and
Yes.
it was
See
okay.
Back of you see that's.
Oh.
Yep, it's on the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. No, it was good. It actually looked good. It looked good. Like it wasn't. I don't think the action of it was executed the best,
Okay.
but it looked really good. And I'm like,
Okay.
again, he like must have was part of a circus at one point in his life because he's like very skilled at like falling and
Right.
catching on to stuff and all this
and
like
acrobatics and stuff like that. And you have
super
to
hyper
kind
trained.
of
He was in like the Black Widow program. Like that. There we go.
you have to like suspend disbelief on like almost on a level of Fast and Furious. Let's just put it that way.
It made me feel like, oh, if I fall out of a plane and there's like a bunch of debris, I'll be okay.
You can
Like-
just try to jump
Yeah,
on
I
all
can
of
just
it.
jump on the debris and like land.
Yeah.
Like
I'll be
Black Widow.
fine.
Pretty much.
Oh, they literally do
Watch
that in
the-
Black Widow. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Watch the yeah, they do. Yeah, right. Well, if you get a chance, watch the trailer. Watch the trailer for the game for Uncharted 3, and you'll see because they that was the big marketing for that game was the airplane crash sequence.
Is
And it
Nolan
is.
North the guy who voices Nathan Drake in the games?
He voices him, yes, and yeah, I heard the same thing, Gordon.
So Gio, remember when they pull up to like the resort and there's a guy
He's, like, on a
on
beach.
laying down and he has
Yeah.
way too much dialogue for a random
Oh,
guy out
yeah.
of nowhere? That's
Yeah.
the guy
Okay,
who
so is that
voices
him?
the actor. And I knew it. I figured it was him when we were
Oh,
watching
wow.
the movie. Yeah.
he does the voice and the motion capture because they actually do mocap for the games. Yeah,
That's
so
pretty
all the
cool.
voice actors do. They do all the mocap too, which is pretty cool. So he's done it for all of them. So
Yeah. So Keith, do
Interesting.
you know who directed this movie?
no, I do not.
Ruben Fletcher,
Really,
director of
I didn't know
Venom.
that. Yeah.
And obviously the Zombieland films, but I'm just curious.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
that's interesting. What you
You
don't
know
like
what?
Venom, right? Like the first one?
No, I don't. It's fine. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
Yeah.
But I love Zombieland, both of those. So
Yeah. So I'm just curious. Like that's interesting. But to be honest, like the script is not great, and he didn't write it. So I think the
Right.
script was the problem with the dialogue, and
yeah.
they didn't dive enough into like the treasure hunting. So I don't know.
Right. I was going to ask you about that. Okay. So, that's interesting. Well, I'm intrigued. It's piqued my interest now. Maybe I will check it out. I heard that the writers of one of these games actually wrote the script. I don't know if that's still true. I remember when
Oh.
they first announced it.
I'm not sure. But
If someone
I mean,
made a
if I were
comment-
you, I would check it out, Keith.
Sure. Because if you even some of the cutscenes, I mean, a lot of it is kind of someone pointed out in the comments. I was gonna scroll back and see. A lot of it does feel it is kind of cliche tropes stuff, like even the dialogue. So I wonder if they brought that into this movie. It's what it sounds like. I mean, it's really good. It's well done. The
Maybe.
voice acting is great. The mocap is great, and the story is super compelling. But it's stuff that it's nothing that you haven't heard before, and that's kind of what I've heard about this movie. So I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think I might check it out.
I left this movie wanting to or wishing that I would have played the game. I kind of want to go online and just watch a bunch of the cutscenes from the video games.
You
and
should. Yeah.
Maybe that'll like give me more context into
Right.
this lore of Uncharted. So
Yeah, listen, when I would play these, I got Uncharted 2 back in 10 years ago, maybe, and I've been playing them each since then. But like when the kids were little, they would just sit down and watch me play all day long, and even their mom, when she was here, they would all just sit down and watch.
They're just like watching a movie, a super long movie.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, man, check out all the cutscenes.
Really all right. Well, that's going to wrap it for our review of Uncharted spoilers and for Apocaflix Now. Thank you so much for joining us this Tuesday, February 22nd. That's 22222. What a date. I don't know. Something cool about that. Something that will not happen again in our lifetime. So let's cherish the rest of this evening. And before we head out, go around and where can they find you online? Jacob, go ahead.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JacobBartley824. And guess what? We're bringing the Fantasy Football Podcast back at First Round Fantasy in March. We'll be talking about NFL free agency and where we want the free agents to go in the needs of fantasy players. So come check us out there.
Keith.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Rachel, thank you for the birthday wishes. It's Jake Berlin's birthday today. Happy birthday, Jake. And my birthday is tomorrow. So 43 is the new 42. So as I always say. So thank you.
There you go.
I just want to say really quick, I love Peacemaker so much. It might be the best. It might be the best comic book TV show that we've had so far. Honestly, I mean that. It might be. It might be.
It's in the conversation.
Anyway, absolutely. Easily top 2 or 3. But anyway, Jacob and I will probably talk about that on Bartley and Barnes next episode. First Monday of the month, right? Is that what we said?
Yeah, because we were going to do it on the 28th, but you're out of town, right?
Yeah, I might actually be back that night. So you know what?
Yeah, we'll see. Either the 28th or the 7th. Yeah.
Sure. Exactly.
But on that show, we're going to be doing our Oscar winner predictions on the next Bartley and Barnes. So that should be fun.
Yeah. 100%. Oscar predictions. And since you and I haven't talked about Boba Fett, we'll probably maybe try to do that too.
We'll talk Boba Fett, Peacemaker.
Yeah. 100%. And then hopefully you also see me on Gio's thing, which he will tell you about in just a second. So anyway, good night, everyone.
That's right. You guys can find me on Twitter at Grey Goose Jedi and my own channel, Fandom United. Check me out on there. Still figuring out the live shows. Hope to bring that back in March and have some guests. But that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for your time, for your support, and for hanging out with us on this Tuesday. We always enjoy that. And remember, next week we will not have a show because we are going to go watch The Batman, but we will have a YouTube short uploaded that evening. So stay tuned for that. Yeah. Our immediate non-spoiler reactions coming out of The Batman, and can't wait for that. That'll do it for us. Y'all be safe. Be safe out there, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.